come to my attention hitherto. So that was during 2018, I think it was, that I started to film these modules. I'll tell you a little bit about me, just to for those who don't know the background. So, you know, why am I qualified to sort of talk to you about this? Just tell you a little bit about my story. I was born in 1962 to a, you know, very sort of ordinary family in southeast London, and a few little pictures of me there as a child. Important to say, really, I had no professional network around me at all. You know, Dad was a roofer, Mum worked in various different jobs, primarily looked after us, and I've got two brothers, one of whom you know, Paul Murray, actually, who introduced me to Harry in the first place. But anyway, I ended up sort of working quite hard. You know, my dad drummed into me that you must get a good job, you must work hard. So I ended up getting a job with BP Oil, and they sponsored me to do a degree. And I was the first one in my family to do that. And at the time, the degree was unusual because it was called business studies, and no one was doing a business studies degree at that point. And BP were quite forward thinking, you know, wanting to sponsor you to do a business studies degree. And I could either do it in Ealing or in Portsmouth. Portsmouth seemed a million miles away from me, so I did it in London. And like I said, I worked for BP Oil for about 10 years. And after that, I worked for the Woolwich, which was taken over by Barclays for 10 years as well. So I had a sort of, you know, a lot of structure and corporate experience. During my 30s, I was, you know, had the wonderful experience having two children, and they're both actually quite entrepreneurial as well now. And, you know, it was wonderful. And I look back at it with rose-colored glasses, and you know, don't remember any of the crying baby moments, even though they're only 18, 19 months apart. What I do remember is, like most of us, you know, starting to feel the stress and strain of trying to juggle everything, you know, trying to be a good mum, good daughter, good wife, good friend, socialize, and run a, you know, do my job as well, and get promoted and all of those things. So, you know, you start to go through that, don't you? You find the struggles of life, and you're trying to balance everything and trying to be good at everything. And sometimes you have moments where you think you've got it all under control, and then suddenly you feel like you don't have any of it under control. Anyway, I sort of, you know, plowed ahead, and during my 30s was in this corporate environment. At the end of my 30s, 39, 40, I decided that I wanted to start my own business. And that's what I did. I started a recruitment business. I did that for about 10 years. And we were working primarily with, I suppose, people towards the beginning of their career up to sort of the middle of it. And we placed people in a variety of different positions all around the country. And then I got into training as well. And in particular, we started to work with young people at the beginning of their career. And it was at that point that I really noticed that it wasn't just about strategy that was the key to someone's success. It was about their mindset. And we got a lot involved in training young people and in their mindset. I'll tell you a bit more of that later. But the reason for the picture of me on the sofa with the little doggy is that, you know, I was really literally, like I'm sure many of you are, you know, burning the candle at both ends and doing lots of networking events and, you know, pushing my business ahead and doing everything I could. And at the end of the day, you know, I had little energy really to, or especially at the weekends, rather than to sort of sit there and cuddle the little doggy and drink a glass of wine, you know, and that's really how it was. Sort of for most of my 40s, just working very, very hard. It wasn't until I was 54 that I discovered a new way of working with my body. I discovered weight training through my son, who I noticed was starting to, you know, measure his food and changing shape before my eyes. He was living with me just for a few months. He'd just come back from the States. And he said, "Mum, you really should," you know, and I was tired a lot. And I was one of these that was very into cardio. I did ran the London Marathon. I did quite a lot of different short marathons, lots of classes and things like that. But he said, "Mum, you really should try weight training." And I, you know, after sort of considering it for a bit and thinking, "Oh God, I don't want to go in the gym with all these big sort of muscle-bound guys." I thought, you know what, I will go. And I went to this gym, and they started to teach me weight training. And you know, I was as surprised as anybody when 8 months later, I was 55 then, I ended up completely changing my body. And obviously that's good lighting and a good tan and everything. But the fact is, you know, I completely transformed my body. But it wasn't what it was in the newspapers and things like that. You know, this woman of 55 has got now the body of a 25-year-old. But it wasn't so much what was going on the outside that was interesting to me. It was what was happening on the inside, because associated with this, I became so much more productive. I found that I had the energy then to not just run the business, and the business started to go from strength to strength to strength, but also I was doing these other things as well. You know, I created a podcast. It was called I Want to BA. I interviewed a number of people at the top of their game, asking them, you know, how they got to where they were, and their tips for people wanting to follow in their footsteps. And I also wrote a couple of books as well. And I also took it upon myself to do a lot of personal development. So some of you may recognize Tony Robbins on the right there, but that was just some of the work that I did. I was doing a lot of personal development at the same time as sort of training my body and learning a lot about things like human needs, and you know, was also trying to make an impact. So there with Trees in May, but I did a lot of work because I started to realize that we've all got so much potential, and particularly at midlife, we are led to believe that maybe our best years are behind us, and a lot of that I think is to do with our body and our physicality, and we just sort of accept that, you know, as you get older you get tireder. This is not just necessarily about how you look, but more about how you feel. But I started to realize that that's not the case, you know, that you can really sort of change your mindset, and it's like a sort of a bit of a chicken and egg situation. You know, is it your mindset first, then your body, or your body, then your mindset? I've got some theories on that. But like I say, so I started to go through this other journey of personal development, and also focusing a lot more on impact as well. Just not just about the business, but how could I make a wider impact? I just was very, very focused on doing that. And as these things were happening, like I say, I found that this was sort of drawing more attention to the business, and I was in that way able to have more of an impact. And there was a lot of things in the newspaper, and then, you know, I had this wonderful experience of being nominated for the MBE and receiving that in 2019. So that was a bit of a background, really. And with all of that happening, you know, a lot of the people that were working for me at the time, it started off with, were saying to me, you know, how do you get all this done? You know, you're so productive, you're never stressed. How do you find the time to go to the gym? What is it that you eat? And I had a lot of these questions, and I used to look at the people that work for me. And at that point I had about 100, 120 staff, something like that. And I realized that these people were very, very motivated to do great things, to do a great job, and want to do all the things that I've just mentioned, you know, be effective in their life. But there they were very often, you know, sitting at their desk, trying to make this brain of theirs work. But, you know, the vehicle that the brain was in was not working optimally. Maybe they were overweight, maybe they were underweight, maybe they were tired. They were consuming, you know, certain foods that weren't going to be serving them well, but maybe they didn't know that. And I could start to see that if they would flick the switch that I had in terms of the way they work with their mind and their body, that their productivity would change as well. And really, it was because they started to ask me that I started to encourage people to do more and more things. And the key, I suppose, the three things that I taught them was ways to transform their body, ways to upgrade their mindset, and then after that to look at, you know, a method of doing it, a proven business blueprint. And I started to sort of tell people about this first of all, and then you saw the photo at the beginning. I decided that, you know, what I'll do is I'll put these into some modules, because there were so many things to talk about, so many components of this, that I wanted them to be able to have it on demand and to listen to it, as you said, you know, when they're walking and things like that. I did a lot of initiatives, and Marion sitting here sort of worked for us at that time as well, and she knows, you know, so for example, I challenged everybody to do 10,000 steps a day. And this is not so new now, because obviously during lockdown, a lot of us had a new look at our physical fitness. But I did, you know, that, so people from all the different offices, and we had 14 offices at the time, were off, you know, doing their steps at lunchtime, sharing photographs. And then I introduced podcasts to listen to, and we really did start to see a massive change, not just in how they felt, but the effectiveness of them within my business, so, and within their careers as well. So this was become a real win-win solution. And effectively what I put together in the end was a blueprint, which is what I'm going to tell you about now, a sort of a journey for you to go from where you are, wherever that is. And you don't have to be, as I was there, jaded and, a bit unfit and a bit tired. You can start this at any time. And the great thing is about this blueprint is that you can start from any base and you can have several iterations. Because one of the things that I decided to introduce since I've been teaching this stuff is the whole concept of longevity. Because if you start to look at the science, and I've looked at it a lot now, the Nobel Peace winning scientists are all telling us that routinely we ought to be living to 120, accidents and illnesses aside. If we look after ourselves in a certain way, those of us who are alive now, we can start to literally age backwards. There are techniques now that say that we can we ought to be living to 120, as I say, and some are even talking about 150 and even 200. And it seems bizarre, but just as electricity and mobile telephones and everything else seemed bizarre at the time. So if that is to be the case, and we're all sitting here now at a variety of different ages, I don't know how you guys, most of you look a lot younger than me, but that means that we have 2 or 3 times our lifespan again. And combine that with the fact that even now, most of us are having numerous different types of careers. It means that, by having a blueprint like this, we can continue to reinvent ourselves from being the version that we are now, which is maybe version 1 or 2 or 3, depending on, how you see your life, through to several subsequent versions. And so the blueprint consists of these points. It's like a roadmap. And the first part of it is to start to learn how to look after your body through movement. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Not to put you through your paces today, though, but certainly talk to you about some of the basic things that can be done. And then after that, the next one is to learn how to eat. Because that might sound strange, but we are bombarded with information about what to eat and not eat. And there are lots and lots of different fads on the market. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about that, because so much of physical transformation you see in me is about eating and not training. People think that I spend my life in the gym. And the truth is that I go to the gym 4 times a week for an hour. And otherwise, it's more about nutrition and eating a lot. And I'll tell you more about that. The next thing, and these are not necessarily one after the other, they're sort of simultaneous, is this whole method of upgrading your mindset. I've called it to superhuman status, where nothing phases you and your productivity explodes. Because what we can't do is get you to a point where nothing bad happens, because we can't control what's going on outside. But what we most certainly can do is get you to a point where anything that happens you can handle. And you can calmly sort of work through it, and it just becomes another stepping stone of life, really, and an experience and a lesson. And then as a result of getting these things in place, what you see is, and I've talked about the wealthier you here, because most people, one way or another, they're looking to expand their wealth, and they have financial goals. But very often as well, it's fulfillment goals. It's about having a fulfilling business, a fulfilling career, maybe a project that really excites you. But whatever it is, by having those basics in place, you're more equipped to start to do it. And then what we see with people going through our program is that they have radical changes. They achieve things that they've not been able to achieve for the last 10 years in their business and in their jobs. And then after that, what you find is you've actually changed. You are now different. And I've seen that you've had some talks, a wonderful talk I saw on LinkedIn, but you're then ready to sort of say different things. Maybe you're ready to be a thought leader in different areas, and you want to represent yourself in terms of your, the upgraded version of yourself. And so then there are ways to repackage yourself and to start to portray yourself and the true version of you, the new version of you, and then off you go with all of these tools and techniques into your future to have this sort of longevity mindset. So that's the roadmap that we spell out. I wanted to just show you a few people that have undergone some of the changes having been through this program. I've got her in a film as well, if you're one that likes to listen to people talking, but just to sort of spend a couple of minutes on a few people here. This lady, Mina, she joined the program, and you can see the photo of her on the left there. She was, a great corporate career, But feeling gone through some things in her personal life, had some injuries from incessantly training with different personal trainers. So she felt that she certainly couldn't lift weights anymore, had been on blood pressure tablets for something like 20 years. And just really felt that she just sort of run out of steam, to be honest with you, and was also in a place where she wasn't sure what her next career move would be. After going through the program and doing all the things that I've just described to you, you can see the difference. I think what you can see there more than anything is the confidence. But one of the brilliant things about Mina was that she started to feel a bit different. In terms of, she started to feel a bit dizzy and sort of lightheaded. She went to the doctor, and he said that the blood pressure tablets weren't needed anymore. She needs to come off them straight away. And now she's completely medication free, after being on this medication for 20 years. And also she's lifting weights. You can see that she's got great muscle tone now. And this is because of the way she's eating. And not just that, but she's got 2 or 3 different revenue streams now. She decided to set up her own business. So that's Mina. I've got another lady here, Jane. Now, she had already a thriving business when she came to me, but she couldn't sleep. She was losing her confidence. She wasn't sure why, but she just didn't feel motivated anymore. And a similar sort of story, really, took her through the program. Again, I think you can see the confidence in her face. She's gone on to, she's got some newer photos actually where she looks even more marvelous. But she went from a point of having no confidence to saying to me that she just nailed, it was on Zoom, but she'd nailed a presentation to hundreds of people. And she said that she not only didn't feel that she couldn't deliver, but she said that she was actually relishing the opportunity and really enjoyed it. Her business, again, I think her business was over 20 years old. And again, she's gone on to really sort of scale a new height with that. And then we have, Jason. When Jason came, and he still works with me now as a private client, Jason came and, he wasn't really bothered about his body. He said, look, I don't want to have a dad bod, but I'm reasonably fit. But he said, my business won't move, my top line won't move. And so with him, it was more, what I showed him was, if you actually do start to work with your body and you're not bothered about aesthetics, you're more bothered about strength, and what that does to you mentally. And if you start to implement some of these mind techniques, then you'll find that there will be a change in your business. And sure enough, his business was averaging, let's say 5 figures, and now it averages 6 figures. So really a radical change for him. And as you can see in his body as well, he's certainly not got a dad bod now. So this was like a happy coincidence for him, really, because he didn't come wanting to get a 6-pack, but he just ended up with it. And we've got so many other examples of that. I mean, this is just one of the group photo shoots, but as you'll see in the film, I've got a corporate lawyer who she was extremely competent, but 25 kgs overweight, worrying about her position in her new firm, and has gone on to lose all of this weight, and she just looks stunning. A senior dentist who's now become a partner in the largest dental firm in the world, and not just that, lost 10 or 12 kgs, I think, and she lives in Finland. So I've only met her once, but a lot of this we just do online. So those are some of the success stories. And I think what I just wanted to show you there is, it isn't sort of something unusual about me, at the age of 59, being able to sort of transform my physicality like that and do all these other things. Anyone can do it, and it doesn't matter how old they are. You'll see that there's a guy of 67. There was even a lady of 72 on the program, and even my own mum of age 76. So some of the things that we teach people, and some of I've called them secrets, but there's so many things to piece together, and I'll just show you some of them. So I guess that most of you are, like I say, are familiar with this, and I think with lockdown it really strangely helped us, because we all started to want to get out and about. But the secret to changing your business, you would think, wouldn't you, comes down to business strategies. But the truth is that it's really about 20% business strategies and 80% mindset, anything that we want to achieve. And mindset, in turn, don't forget, the brain is housed in this vehicle of ours. So mindset comes from having a healthy vehicle, let's put it that way. And you don't have to jump in the gym straight away to get that, contrary to popular belief. You just have to start moving. If any of you've been on any Tony Robbins programs, you'll see how he gets everybody jumping up and down and dancing, etc. We do something similar sometimes, but it is really a question of just stepping. And if you're not familiar with how many steps you do a day, you can just look at your iPhone and it will tell you. So that's one of the things that you can start doing immediately, just walking basically, and you don't have to do it all in one go either, just doing little walks. And sometimes you can even do it on the step indoors. I mean, Marion, for example, found a little app that actually gets you to do your 10,000 steps indoors. And many people on the program have, sent me a little video to say that, look, I'm just finishing my last 1,000 steps in the kitchen. So anyone can do that basically. But now we come on to the most, the most important thing in terms of our physicality, and it is about food and what we eat. And you don't have to, eat fatty sort of shakes and take loads of supplements and things like that. What tends to happen in the Western diet is that most of us eat far too many carbs and not enough protein. And we're not aware either of the quality of the fats that's in our food. So we get these dad bod or the middle-aged spread, and we wonder why. And we say, I eat healthily, I don't understand it. But it's just the combination of the macronutrients. And so what we do is teach people about the amount of protein they have to eat, and they simply do a swap for the protein-rich foods instead of the refined carb foods. We still have a lot of carbs though, but we have them from different things like vegetables and other sort of fibrous sources, and then good quality fats. You can and not too many good quality fats, just enough, because for example, you can have some olive oils and avocado, and that's going to be many calories. That's going to be the difference between having a six-pack and not having one, and feeling tired versus feeling alive and vibrant. But that's one of the secrets, is definitely changing what you put in your body. It makes sense really, doesn't it? It's a quality of fuel. And then on top of that, the micronutrients, there are certain supplements which will massively make the difference. Some are herbal for your skin. And we have no affiliations with any type of product or anything like that. I've managed to get some discounts and some things that I recommend, like the Aura Ring, for example, but no affiliation. It is pure natural food, and so that's really the crux of it. And then we come on to mindset and some of the things that I learned myself on mindset. And there's just so much to talk about here that I've just poured out three. One of the things that I always start off with people is their vision and the identity of who they are, because very often when you ask someone about their vision and what they want to achieve, they may give financial goals, they may give business goals, relationship goals, things like that. But what they sort of miss out, and they say, I've been writing these goals for years and still not got there. But what they've maybe not thought about is who they need to be to achieve those things. And who they need to be is very much the identity that they create for themselves as well. So we get people to very much think about the future them, not just how that future them looks, but how they think, what they say, the questions they're constantly asking themselves, because we are always in a dialogue with ourselves. You're sitting there now having a dialogue with yourself, thinking, do I believe what she's saying there? Oh, I know this bit. Oh, I don't know that bit. Or I agree with that. Or I don't agree with that. We're all having this dialogue with ourselves. And so that is part of the identity that we create. And when you do that very, very meaningfully, you can then start to build the person that achieves the things that you want. So we spend a lot of time on identity, but three other things here just to mention is, I've called it taking care of your taxi. And it is that same analogy that I mentioned, which is about, realizing that we're walking about here in a vehicle, our one and only vehicle. And it is our taxi, and it carries our brain about, and it's our brain that does everything in our life. It achieves everything for us. So, as with a car, if you look after it, if you put the right quality fuel, if you park it properly, you let it cool down, you get it maintained properly, keep it nice and clean and shiny, then, it's going to work for you, isn't it? However, if you just, run it to the ground, constantly top speed, not letting it run out of fuel, letting it run out of water, oil, not looking after it, not letting it rest, sooner or later it's going to break down. And when your vehicle won't take you where you want to go, you can't do what you want to do. And exactly the same with the body. And that's why I always say the body means business. So that's one important principle. The next thing is about removing limiting beliefs. And we don't realize that we do it, but we do if we're not aware. You know, this dialogue is not helpful. And when you look back at, you know, how we were first created, we were cavemen looking to stay alive. And so the oldest part of our brain is at the back. It's our fight or flight mechanism, and it's there to keep us protected. So it's looking for danger. This is, the media know this, by the way. This is why media give us all the bad stories, because they want us to watch, and they know that we won't bother to watch the good news so much as we will watch the bad news, because the bad news we are programmed to look out for. Not because we enjoy it, because we look out for it, because originally it was lions and tigers coming to eat us. And now there aren't any, we look out for other bad news. And we do this in life as well. And we actually, because, you know, that part of our brain wants to keep us in our comfort zone, it will often say, don't do that meeting, don't do that presentation, don't start that business, don't go for that job, don't ask that question, you know, whatever it's saying, it's keeping us safe. And unfortunately, what that therefore means in business, it is preventing us from fulfilling our real and true potential. So what we teach people to do is to remove these limiting beliefs and to replace those limiting beliefs, the things that say don't do it and can't do it, and why is this and why is that, you know, because we ask ourselves negative questions, we get negative answers back, and we start reassuring ourselves that we can't do things. So we try to teach people to reprogram they can do things. We teach them to start to build this identity by teaching them a positive dialogue. So we teach them to replace negative questions with positive questions. If you ask yourself things like, right, how can I move this forward? Who might be able to help me on this occasion? What are the options available to me now? Those are much more empowering questions, and our brain will actually give us the answers, as opposed to, why won't this work? Why am I no good at this? You know, why have I failed at this again? So by catching yourself and asking these empowering questions changes the way you think and moves you forward. And then just the other thing that, and like I said, there's many, many things to tell you here, but this thing here about the 6 human needs, we're all the same. You know, we're all programmed to basically fulfill these main 6 human needs. And they're different colors because the top 4 are the priority for all of us. And it's only when we achieve these top 4 in one way or another that we then start to look at the bottom 2. And to very briefly cover them for you, certainty and uncertainty, they're opposite. So that immediately presents a challenge for us. And certainty is about, you know, security and knowing we're safe, as it says. And variety is about giving us a bit of excitement, because we want surprises, but only the ones that we want. Not, you know, we want excitement, but not bad surprises. And the interesting thing is that we fulfill these in different ways, positively or negatively. So for example, with certainty, you could be the sort of person that has a really great routine. You know, you eat the same things mostly, you go to the gym, you know, you always clear your emails, you know, you always go and see your mum at the weekend, or, you know, it's certainty, it's security, it's a very positive method. Other people may achieve that same certainty from, you know, the minute they get in, they open up a glass of wine, they inhale on a cigarette, they pick a row, whatever it is, the things are the same, but they're just different methods of achieving the same thing, which is a feeling of certainty. You know, if you drink a glass of wine, you're going to get that immediate relaxation. The same as someone who goes running knows that they're going to get that hit of endorphins. So the certainty we can start to tackle once we recognize what we do for certainty, we can decide to change it. Same with uncertainty. You know, you may have one person who very positively always goes and travels once a year. You know, that gives them a bit of variety. Someone else may jump from job to job to job, partner to partner to partner, because they get their hit of uncertainty that way. Significance, we all want to feel important. We all want to feel needed. We may do that in a very positive way by, for example, you know, leading a business or managing a team, or you know, running a charity or something like that. Or alternatively, we may be the one at the party who is always the loudest, always has to sort of have the last word. And, you know, so again, positive and negative ways of achieving significance. Connection and love. you know, we could achieve that through being a wonderful parent, being a loving friend, or it could be that, you know, we run around being a people pleaser the whole time. So there's different ways of achieving these. And once you understand it and you understand your own behavior, it's so helpful. Not just that, you then can start to understand why people do what they do, why people say what they say. It makes you more compassionate. And in that way, you have greater empathy and you can get more things done. Growth and contribution, just to mention briefly there, these are regarded as the higher level needs. And when you move to a point where you're achieving the first four in a positive way, you can then start focusing on your own growth and your own contribution. And these are the ones that give us the greatest satisfaction. When we think about what we want, very often we don't mention these, but in fact, those are the ones that are going to give us the greatest satisfaction. So those are just a very few of the things that we cover. And then the other thing that we cover is business strategies, because of course, you know, although what I'm saying about business success boils down to really only about 20% strategy and 80% mindset, nevertheless, you've got to have strategies that do work for you. And so we have a whole section of modules and business consultancy where we do teach people, no matter where they are in their business, to go from the basics all the way through to significant growth. And whether that is that they're employed or whether they run a business, the same things apply. And we go through things, for example, about how to find your ideal client, how to move your client up the value ladder. And then I created a blueprint that's always worked for me. It's called Jim's Fort, and it covers these things that I've mentioned here: growth, innovation, marketing, sales, finance, optimization, raving fans, and trust. And we've got modules on all of these, because if you do actually address all of those components of your business every week, you're going to gradually shift it forward. Doesn't mean you won't have any problems, but certainly you will shift it forward. And so we spend a lot of time on the business side of it as well. And then obviously there are many things to do on branding and lifestyle. I very often find myself when I'm doing coaching, and we do it in groups and one-to-one, that you could end up talking to somebody about how they dress, or even, you know, their hair color or their haircut, or relationships, or a whole variety of things really. With, you know, I take people on photo shoots and then they have an amazing new set of photos that they use on all their social media and on their website. So that is very, very important, but it's as important as so far as, you know, if you buy a house and, you know, it needs some work doing to it that you can't see. The boring bits really are doing all of the underpinnings and, you know, doing all the electricity and the plumbing and all that you can't actually see. The exciting, lovely bit is doing the curtains and the carpets and the painting. So I don't like to exclude all of that peripheral stuff, because it's super important. You know, everybody wants to look as great as they can and portray a great image. And so we do that, but not before we've done all of the other things that I've mentioned. And the great thing is that once you know how to do this stuff, it then sets you up for this life forever. You know, because the things that I'm very much at great pains to do when we teach people this stuff is to teach them to fish, not give them a fish. So all of the tools and techniques that we teach here, the great thing is that you can learn how to eat and then go on holiday, have your champagne, have great dinners, go out with your mates, you know, but always now you've got these new habits embedded. You know, you might stay up late one night and watch a film or something, or go to a party, but mostly, you know, things like meditation and sleep, the priority of those things will now be part of this new version of yourself. And the great thing is, through that, you can completely maintain what you build. So you build this body, you build this mindset. And that's actually a quote from my last medical that I had, you know, a full body medical where the doctor sort of mentioned all these things. And was astonished that, you know, at that point I was 58, almost 59, and still had this very fit condition. And it's nothing magic, you know, it really isn't. And so that's it really. That's the blueprint, the thing that I wanted to explain to you. We take people through this journey, and we do it in a way that suits them, with the view that we can turn anybody, and they can turn themselves, literally into super beings of tomorrow. So just tell you a little bit now about how we do this. We realized, and I realized this a long time ago from training thousands of people at the beginning of their career, that people like to learn in different ways. So we've put this stuff together in a number of different ways. Some people just like to do it at their own pace, on their own, loading down the modules, listening to what I'm saying, carrying out the workbooks and things, and just doing it at their own pace. And what we normally find is when people join this way, they get on with it for a bit, and then they want to upgrade to get involved in the group coaching. But this is a nice little sort of dip your toe in it sort of arrangement, and they can get involved then in the private Facebook group. They can start to see what other people are doing, and they also get some private coaching calls as well with our team, just to make it a bit more bespoke. But that's the online version. And then we do like our core program, which we've created, and we started to really work on this properly at the beginning of lockdown. Up until that point, it had been quite informal, I suppose. People would come to me and ask, and some people I would train in this way. And obviously we had thousands of young people going through a similar type program, but it wasn't so formalized like this. It was more focused about just getting them their first job. But I've realized that the combination of individual and group training, mind training and body training and business training, is the most powerful and really speeds things up. So we put this program together, which people go through, and you may have seen if you've looked at my social media. So what happens there is that I have a 2-hour coaching call on each subject with them every week. Every week they get their dedicated coach who also talks to them on a more bespoke basis. They have a check-in with them. They do a live workout with me once a week. And then on top of that, we run live workouts every single day that they get involved in. They can do this all from home. They have access to yoga sessions as well. Some people, they like stretching. We do a live meditation session on a Sunday. They've got lots of business inspiration sessions. If they are thinking about what's my next job, what do I want to do, they can have access to those. We do CV support and careers advice if they want to change their CV. Most importantly of this, they actually get a 1-hour private call with me as well, once a month. And then they get so this really makes a difference in sort of making them accountable, because they'll probably tell me things on a one-to-one that maybe they wouldn't say in the group. So we've managed to really help them shift forward there as well. And then they do some network, and we have these VIP events. We had an event at Boodles just last week, and lovely photo shoots and things. And this is transformative for people. And then if they want, and a couple of people just last week took advantage of this, they can have all of that plus purely private consultation with me. And there's only so many people I can do for that. But then they've got a link which they have access straight to my diary. They can have private, calls with me whenever they want. And that's a sort of an even more sort of intense type of service. And just to illustrate what I did to get to where I was, because I thought to myself, sometimes people say, oh yeah, I've had a PT before, or yeah, I do a bit of meditation. And I truly believe that this thing that we've put together now is so unique. Well, I know it is, that I thought, let me just sort of sit down and think about all the things that I went off myself and did, to get to where I was and what's now in this package. And really, here's the list here. Obviously I had a personal trainer to start off with, probably I had a lot, but one that, he was regarded as the leading global personal trainer. And on top of that, I had an RTS, a resistance training specialist as well. So that was, costing me quite a lot of money to actually learn these techniques. And then I became qualified myself in both as a PT and also as a resistance training specialist. Because to me, it wasn't just a question of just do it and see the result. I wanted to understand anatomy and understand why I was doing it. And then obviously a dietitian, finding out and having a BDA registered dietitian, having a life coach. And, I'm an NLP master practitioner since 2006. So I brought that to bear. Having a relationship coach, I'm a Chloe Maddern's practitioner, having a career coach who's worked with thousands of people, having a financial planner, having a business coach who's really been there and done it and had successes and had failures, being a philanthropist and knowing about making impacts and having a community. So there's a lot of things that I suppose I realized, and many of you have had these experiences as well, where I was able to bring this all together into one package. And as you see there, it's all in there. And depending on what people need, different people need different things to sort of shift them forward. That's what we can bring to bear. And like it says, we can bring it all together as one package. Whereas you can go and get these things, but obviously it's disjointed, it's not coordinated and so on. And here's just a few. We've got many testimonials here, but we've got a lot of written ones, we've got a lot of pictures, and we've got a lot of people on video as well who've succeeded. So that's it really. If you want to know more, you can go on yourbodymeansbusiness.com. There's also podcasts. You can go on my YBMB show, and there's about 100 live podcasts there with little snippets on all different aspects. You can email if you want some more information. I'm thinking I'm doing an open talk on Tuesday night, and or you can have a private call with Marion and I can tell you more. If not for you, then someone you know may also benefit. And that's it. That's really the extent of the program. So I hope that was helpful.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Angela. That was great. Very interesting, really inspiring, and also quite daunting. A sense that you've managed to do so much through your own program and help so many other people. Questions for Angela. If anybody like to ask Angela some questions about her presentation and about Your Body Means Business? Let's see. Anybody want to put their hand up and say something? Gary, you have a question, I believe.
Yep, I've always got one. A couple of things that, by the way, doing that presentation and how streamlined you got it was unbelievable. It actually shows if people can do it, then they could do a presentation like that. So well done. I think my one probably would be around a couple of things on the health front and the mindset. So stuff like binges and going off the rails, because it's quite easy to get in a mindset of doing this stuff, but then every now and again people go on a bit of a binge and then they lose everything they've done, and then they start up again. Do you think that's a mindset problem, or is there ways of solving it? And then one more question would be, I'm plant-based mainly. I was plant-based for about 4 years, and then lockdown, every now and again I'll go on a binge of eating cheese, don't eat meat or anything like that. But it always makes me feel so bad. So I'm wondering whether that's a good diet or not a good diet. So just some opinions on that.
Yeah, so if we start off with sort of going off the rails and binge eating, etc. So much of the, firstly, there is a practical way that we teach to at least minimize the danger of that at the beginning, and that is to spread your food out. And to have significantly more amounts of protein, because protein is very satiating, and we give people a guide as to what to eat, and very often it is a question of just swapping. So for example, you have cereal for breakfast, swapping that, let's say, for some eggs, and something like that, and so there, and maybe some yogurt or something. So there are some strategies to stop you feeling starving, because tend to binge, people don't have different times, but it tends to be towards the end of the day when they're a bit tired, maybe a bit stressed. And if you think about what I said about certainty, that's what it gives them. It gives them certainty. They know if they eat those biscuits, they're going to get that sugar hit and they're going to feel great temporarily. They also know, though, they're not going to feel great tomorrow. They're going to be annoyed with themselves. So getting people to understand why they do it, giving them some strategies for not doing it, is the first thing. Another thing, and you say, is it mindset? It so is, because I find that people, when they first join this program, they've got all these new tools and techniques, and we keep them very accountable on the Facebook group and by talking to me, and it's very encouraging as well. And they're all in it together, sort of thing, if they do the group coaching. So they start off, and 2 or 3 weeks in, they're finding some changes, because the body is so amazing. I mean, it repays you back so fast the minute you start treating it well. So they see these changes really quickly, but inevitably still life gets in the way. They've got families, they're back at work, they're going out to drinks, parties, things like that, and they start to revert to type, as we call it. And this is where we really spend a lot of time helping them build their new identity, because the questions are, okay, what would your new identity do in that case? And they always know the answer. So say, for example, I've worked with someone for about 3 weeks, and they're doing really well. They're starting to see a change in their body. They're really feeling a lot better because they're sleeping better and things like that. And then they say, oh, but I was out last night, and there were drinks there, and this happened and that happened. And I say, and by then I know their new identity. And I say, what would the new identity do? And they say, oh, yeah, I know, probably, would have sort of just had one and things that, so they know the answer. And it's just me trying to shift the paradigm of the way they think. And it's so much of it, there's no magic. When we're sold this idea that, okay, just drink these shakes, this is what you definitely get a change in your body because you're starving your body. You don't build muscle though, because you can't if you're in a deficit. But it's not a life-changing, technique. Whereas this is, because you start to see yourself differently and you ask yourself, would the athletic Gary, which is the identity I'm just putting words in your mouth here, the identity I'm creating, the healthy, plant-based, athletic Gary, would he eat that pack of biscuits? No, he wouldn't. Okay, so I won't then. And that's it. And it can be really simple. You asked, what was the second question about plant-based? I mean, I'm plant-based too, but that doesn't mean only plants. So I eat a lot of plants though. So eating a lot of vegetables is a really surefire way to health, to getting really good fiber, and to filling yourself up as well. But then I have a lot of fish with it. I have meat 1 or 2 times a week. I have my bloods checked every 2 weeks, and I have supplements which are bespoke just to me with a company called Bionics. And as a result of that, feel as strong as I can feel. But we have many vegan and vegetarian people on this program, and you can hit obviously your fiber goals, but you can certainly hit your protein goals as well. I would say that nothing is bad in moderation. Dairy can cause inflammation, so but I wouldn't eradicate anything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Zita, you've got a question for Angela.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a brilliant, inspirational way to start Friday. Thank you so much. I'm actually feeling less guilty about sat here in my yoga gear, which is underneath this little cheeky jumper, having just, got lost in my admin this morning and then really wanting to come on. So thank you so much. That's brilliant.
Pleasure.
I was really struck by when you just started talking about it with Gary as well, the new identity and this concept of visualizing this new version of you, which I think, if I try to do that, I'd probably stop halfway and gone, who are you kidding? So how do you find people are able to embrace that in a way that is achievable or practical, or doesn't make you feel like, yeah, right, whatever?
Yeah, we are our own worst enemy, aren't we? Because you would never say that to anybody else. You'd never say that to me or Gary. Gary would stand there and say, right, I've got this great idea, and you'd never say, yeah. You'd be like, yeah, go for it. That sounds brilliant. I'm sure you can do it, and you believe it as well when you said that. So the first thing is to start to try and think of yourself as your own best friend, a paramount and priority. And then, this is not something you necessarily have to share at this point, but what really helps is a framework of questions that we give people that prompts them to think about themselves in a different way. Because when so rather than you just asserting that you're now going to be Superwoman, it's more about asking, okay, so if you were to be an ideal version of you, what would that look like? So what would you look like? What would your routine be like, for example? Because sometimes people say, oh, I'd love to do this, that, or the other in my day. And I find myself saying, could you do that tomorrow then? And they say, oh, yeah. I say, so what time would you get up? And what time would the ideal you get up? They say, oh, I'd probably get up about 6. And they start going into this lovely story of what they would do. And then you just start doing it. So sometimes you can keep it to yourself. You follow this framework, you answer the questions about yourself, and you build a picture, and you look and you think, oh, I like that picture. Actually, I don't like that bit. I'm going to have this bit instead. That's the fun of it. You create this picture and you meditate on it. Meditation is such an amazing time that we can take. There's not any special techniques. You can meditate in a number of ways where all you do is you think about your breathing and you allow thoughts to pop in your head, which you may not have thought about otherwise. There'll be little ideas, it'll be little answers to questions you've got, it'll be little resolutions, it'll be little sparks. And if you basically, if you don't have anything to think about, and I certainly wouldn't suggest you think about a worry while you're meditating, but you then think of your new version, you sort of daydream about the Zeta version 2 going about her day. achieving all the things she wants to achieve. And you just have that lovely 20 minutes where you come out of that, and now you've decided that the new identity of Zita is running the day. Then you just go about your day. But now you've been very purposeful about who's going to run that day. And it's not, you know, because we've all got a multitude of personalities, and we've all got the stressed version of Angela and the angry version of Angela, as well as the lazy one. And then I've got the productive one and the excited one and the motivated one. So I just decide, you know, and this is what we teach, that you pick the one who's going to run the day. And that's what really, really helps.
That's brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Angela, if that's all right.
Yeah.
You mentioned several times during your presentation, you mentioned the importance of sleep. Does improving sleep come through the program you were describing, or is there a specific series of actions and focuses that you bring to improving sleep?
Well, yeah, well, both really. I know, and you know, I show people the evidence that says that lack of sleep is the biggest cause of early death. That's the first thing. So contrary to how we used to think, you know, in the 80s, it was a badge of honor that we don't need any sleep, and we don't sleep, and, you know, we've got too much to do and we'll sleep when we're dead, sort of thing. You know, the opposite is absolutely true, that we really, really need our sleep. Human beings need sleep. If we didn't, we just wouldn't drop off, would we? You know, we need sleep. And the more we sleep, the more that the repairs can take place in our body, which renew our cells. And there's so many things that happen when we're asleep. You know, it basically is a big contributor to strength, health, and youth. So with that accepted, once people see the facts behind it, they're more motivated to want to now sleep. And so then what we do is we teach them about bedtime routine. We start to, in the same way that we get them accountable for what they're eating, we ask them to report when they're going to bed. We encourage them to get up much earlier, because if they get up much earlier, because people say, you know, I'm just not tired. I don't go to bed till midnight because I'm just not tired. So what we do is we encourage them to start getting up earlier, half an hour earlier, an hour earlier, until they get to a point where they really are tired and they can go to bed at 10 o'clock. And then, you know, there's things like the way that you've got your room, the way you've got your bed, what you consume before you go to sleep. All of these things will help you have, you know, go straight to sleep and have a really, really relaxed sleep. The things like, you know, having a gratitude practice before you go to sleep also will mean that even if you want to worry about something, once you have a gratitude practice and you're thinking about all the wonderful things in your life, you go to bed in a more relaxed and happy state, and that in its turn will make you sleep.
Great, great. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. Lyndon, I think you have a question for Angela.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Well, wonderful way to start Friday off. You hit very strong resonating points with myself that I follow. And I'm going to follow on what's just been asked. Hibernation. Animals hibernate. I hibernate. In your program, do you recognize hibernation and how you pull away from society, hibernate, gather, and represent? Because it's all about this revisionization and so forth, right? Is that something that you do or recognize, or something else?
Yeah, I mean, I think in the form of having a morning routine, which incorporates meditation, but it also incorporates a process that we go through, including a daily visualization along the lines that I was just describing, affirmations, reading, so always reading, and then doing some journaling. I mean, you know, I've got here, I mean, I'm probably a bit overkill because I like my books, you know, but I've got one which is for gratitude, one which is for visioning, one which is for money, one which is for the things that I'm going to focus on. And we teach this, you know, there's a meditation band here, which is the Muse band. So one of the most important things, and I call it the emotional gym. So it's not just about go to the physical gym, it's about go to the emotional gym every day as well. And going to the emotional gym, I've not called it hibernation, it's a brilliant term actually. But you could do that as often, you know, we suggest at least to find the time to do that once per day, ideally in the morning when it's really quiet, when, you know, it's maybe you've only got the dogs for company, you know, no one else is up. And people start to do that, and then they love it, and it becomes, you know, as you know, if you do it yourself, it's an integral part of your life, and it becomes part of you, and it becomes part of the new you, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. No, that's good.
Thank you very much, Angela. And thank you again. I don't think we have any more questions for the moment, but thank you again, Angela. That was inspirational, very instructive. And I think I certainly learned a lot, and I hope you all did. And it's given me all sorts of ideas and inspiration for trying to introduce myself to the better me. And I'm longing to meet the new athletic Gary, who I think is something that's going to improve all of us.
They're all there, you see. They're all there.
Yeah.
Can I just say one thing? My wife's on this call, and when you mentioned that we could live to 200, her face just dropped because she was thinking, "Oh my God, another 150 years of that." So,
well, you know, you'll be two entirely different people as you go along your journey. So it's quite exciting. Got about 4 or 5 new relationships ahead of you, but there'll still be Gary and Lee. So there you go.
Yes, and the new athletic Gary will be a formidable source of new relationships. But that's great. Thank you, Angela. It really was very interesting. Thank you so much for your time.
I've got a little film. It's about 4 minutes long, where it shows some people and they talk about what they've done. I can end and just play that if you want, and then you can just jump off or watch it. It's up to you.
yeah,
I love it. Yes, why don't we do that? So if say,
oh, is he gone? Shall I just play it and I say goodbye and play it, and then if you want to leave, then leave. And
and Angela, we'll share it on our WhatsApp group and on LinkedIn as well. And I'll share this video afterwards with you to so we can edit it and make it look good. Yeah.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, sorry, Marion wanted to. What did you want to say, Marion?
Sorry, if anyone wants any information, or Angela's doing another talk on Tuesday evening at 6:15, I've just put the links in the chat. So, you know, don't hesitate to email me, or if you want to register, please do.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. All right, then. Well, I'll just play this little testimonial video. Lovely to see everybody.
Thanks a lot, Angela.
Take care. See you then. I'll put it big.
To get my body right. I have some issues with my lower back and degeneration in one of my left shoulder, and I just want to get strong. What I'm really pleased to see is I never thought I would get below 10 stones, because the last time I went below 10 stones was 25 years ago. So for me, that's a really big win.
There's one key element that I want to address, and it's the limiting self-beliefs, and also the, you know, thinking about myself as not having, let's say, certain potential that maybe other people see in me. The biggest shift is probably in the mindset, with being more confident and feeling more confident privately and also in the business context.
Fitness wise, I am quite competitive. I do quite like participating in sport, but I've never got that six pack. You know, I work out at the gym. I've gone in various workout like fitness programs, done quite well, but never quite really got to where I'd like to be. I gained a lot in level 2, I think, from the fitness side of things, and I'm just trying to build up a bit more muscle now with sort of level 3 and beyond. But I think where I've really noticed the difference in myself is probably in the confidence.
So my main goals are to get back on track with my business and also my health and fitness. Certainly from the business point of view, that's been amazing. With Angela's support, I've investigated all of these other avenues, and I don't think I would have done that on my own.
Looking for to gain a bit more strength in my physique and mental wellness as well, and focus on my business and take it to the next level. And we were doing the Gimsport model. This allowed me to sit down and really get it out of my head and put it into paper. And in doing so, it had another effect, because I could see actually, oh, maybe I need to work on certain areas.
I really need to make my skin better, to improve also my muscle. I don't want to get big muscle. I want to get nice and elegant muscle, but it will help in my body. I feel really more alive. I just feel alive. And the motivation, the challenge, all of that really helped me.
Upper body is not as well as my bottom half. I want to get rid of my belly and finally have a six-pack. It's really amazing how much weight I lost. Yeah. And it's the motivation of the group, the encouragement that you get. New wardrobe. I went from size 36 and my size trousers now is 31, and that's a massive difference.
I want to have my own Facebook ads agency. I hope to make that within a few months. So that's what I'm going towards. I had a breakthrough moment when we were talking about business, and I had some interrogations about what I should be doing exactly. And during that specific call, you asked me a question, and then I kept in my mind, and then I finally had the breakthrough I was waiting for. So that was great as well.
That I should get, that tummy roll should go.
Yes.
So on more definition. So I do have some visuals that I have screenshots of what body image I want to have. I feel very different in a different way, not because of the tummy roll is gone, but I feel a lot more confident in a weird way that I can't explain. And I did get more offers for the roles, but I decided to stick to my existing job because when I was weighing these options, I thought, oh, it's actually fun.
My husband said, yeah, even though you do exercise, every second day, do you realize how old you are? So you will never get six-pack. No chance. So we have a bet now, and actually I want to prove that I still could do it. In terms of weight, my goal was 60 kg. So, and just this morning I've been on the weight and it was 60.9 already. So I'm very close. So how I feel about myself and the confidence, and it's just not that I could hear from some other people how I look. So I just could see the progress, and it just proved that it's all achievable. It doesn't matter how old you are. It's just the mindset.
Forward to coming up with some new ideas what I could do addition to what I do now. This program has given me so much more than I ever expected. It over delivers and under promises. So thank you, Angela and the group.
I gained a lot in